The first time you see him, your brain stops. The silhouette, the tilt of the head, that signature stance before a spin. Millions watched the trailer and felt their hearts skip. For a split second, it wasn't an actor. It was the king of pop, resurrected on screen. But the man in those loafers isn't a Hollywood impersonator. His name is Jafar Jackson, and he's Michael's real-life nephew. But what nobody knew was the impossible secret Jafar carried for an entire year.
Walker looks so much like him. He looks so much like Michael Walker.
When casting was announced, the internet erupted. Nepotism, they screamed. Then the footage dropped. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. What if the one person who could bring Michael back had been living among us all along? Producer Graham King searched globally for 2 years. Then he met Jafar for lunch. Jafar didn't even know he was auditioning. And the preparation that followed would push Jafar far beyond anything anyone expected.
Well, sometimes the obvious is staring you right in the face, right?
I guess it was, I'd known his father for a long, long time, Jermaine, and did some little bit of research at Jafar online, and called Jermaine and said, I want to have lunch with your son, Jafar. And 5 minutes into lunch, I said, are you auditioning? And he said, no, I don't want to be an actor. I said, okay. 10 minutes later, I'm like, are you sure you're not auditioning? Because you just felt it. And I said to Antoine, when I came to Italy, I said, you can meet him over Zoom and everything, but you gotta.
Jafar watched thousands of hours of his uncle's footage. He studied every movement until he could replicate them in his sleep. He worked with choreographers, Rich and Tone Taluega, the same team who worked with Michael. They pushed him to the breaking point. Jafar rehearsed until his feet bled. He didn't stop. He couldn't stop. This wasn't just a role. It was an obsession. But the most shocking part of his preparation happened inside Michael's own bedroom.
Rehearsed for hours and hours upon hours until one single move was right. Dancing until my feet would bleed or them go numb. There's so many times I would wake up sore, be like, should I go rehearse? Should I just take a break and let the body relax? Then the other part of my mind would be like, no, what would Michael do?
Let's do it again. Yeah, I missed that. Yeah.
Jafar never stopped dancing. He was rehearsing all the way up to the moment we start filming.
It's natural. It's a flow.
Jafar moved into Michael's old bedroom at Hayvenhurst, the family compound. He slept there. He rehearsed there. He surrounded himself with Michael's personal writings, his deepest fears and aspirations. The process became a way of connecting with his uncle's ghost. But when he walked into his screen test for director Antoine Fuqua, something extraordinary happened. Jafar answered a question not as himself, but completely as Michael. And the reaction in that room left everyone in tears.
How did you cast Jafar Jackson as Michael here?
Well, Jafar is an interesting journey. Jafar was rehearsing to be Michael for 2 years. About a year before I came on, Graham King, the producer, had found Jafar. And when he flew to Italy to see me, I was on Equalizer 3, he said, I want you to do this film about Michael Jackson. I said, well, who's going to play Michael? Bob Richardson, the great DP, showed me a video of him and Michael on the set together. But it was modern. I said, well, when did you shoot a video with Michael Jackson? He said, no, this is Jafar. And it blew my mind.
You couldn't tell the difference?
Could not tell the difference.
Fuqua watched as Jafar spoke in Michael's gentle voice. He moved with his signature stillness. He looked at the camera with the same intensity. The entire room broke down crying. Fuqua later admitted, he answered the question as if he was Michael. He's the real deal. That moment convinced everyone. This wasn't an actor playing a role. This was Michael's spirit, channeled through his own blood. And Katherine Jackson agreed. When she saw Jafar, she said he embodies my son. But there was one person who found this experience more emotional than anyone else.
Already getting rave reviews, Katherine Jackson said, you embody Michael. I mean, what did you feel like when she said that, when she gave you that praise?
I got really emotional, and just to hear that and see it, you know, when I saw her, she gave me a really big hug and said how proud she was, and to me that was everything. To have
Imagine carrying a secret this monumental. Jafar didn't tell a single family member about his role. Not his brothers, not his cousins, not even his father, Jermaine Jackson, Michael's own brother. For 12 agonizing months, he carried this weight alone. When he finally revealed it to his mother, her reaction was overwhelming. She couldn't connect the man on screen to her own son. It was too emotional. And his father, Jermaine, still hasn't watched the film to this day.
Years ago, I woke up one morning and I don't know what got into my head. These things happen. And I called Michael's brother, Jermaine, and I said, I want to meet your son, Jafar.
I thought I was watching my brother, but it was Jafar.
Think about that. Michael's own brother hasn't been able to see his son become his brother on screen. The pain, the love, the complicated family dynamics, all pouring out in this single detail. On set, the pressure was immense. When Jafar filmed the Thriller recreation at the original LA location, a full moon appeared, just like in the original video. Jafar described the moment as incredible. The authenticity was chilling. But behind the scenes, the production faced a crisis that cost millions.
This was, you filmed this in the same location where Michael did the Thriller video?
the same exact location for 2 nights, all through the night, and we actually had a full moon on one of those nights. It was just crazy.
That's that kind of Michael Jackson magic. You had a full moon?
We had a full moon, and it was cold. I know he shot.
Director Antoine Fuqua admitted the film faced a massive setback. A character couldn't be portrayed due to legal reasons. This forced a $50 million reshoot. The total budget ballooned to around $200 million. The pressure on Jafar was immense. Yet through it all, he remained the constant, the beating heart of the production. Then, on November 6th, 2025, the first teaser dropped, and within hours, it broke the internet. What happened next stunned even the filmmakers themselves.
Conjure up everything that your uncle did since he was a kid, all the way up until he turned into the king of pop. All the hours, the blood, sweat, and tears that he poured into working in a dance studio, collaborating with people, we had to create a process where you could fast forward him in a matter of like 2 years.
Millions of views poured in. Social media exploded. Fans were stunned by someone who looked, moved, and sounded exactly like their idol. Was it CGI? A deepfake? No, it was Jafar, putting everything into every frame. The conversation shifted immediately. What skeptics had dismissed as nepotism, fans now celebrated as destiny. Michael had personally chosen his successor. The debates only grew louder when the film premiered on April 24th, 2026. Critics were divided on the film itself, but on one point, they all agreed. Paris called elements of the film dishonest, but Jafar saw this as a higher calling. He wasn't making it for the critics. He wasn't making it for the headlines. He was making it for his uncle, and for the millions of fans who protected Michael's legacy for decades. When Jafar watched the finished film for the first time, he said something surprising. "It went by so fast," he admitted. "I was like, wait, that's it?" This wasn't a man promoting a movie. This was a man trying to process an impossible dream he had just lived.
With a true deeper understanding of Michael, the human being, and to really take in those moments, regardless of the performances and those big, spectacle moments that we were familiar with, but really those moments that we haven't seen, behind closed doors.
Jafar's grandmother, Catherine, said he embodies her son. And for millions of fans, his performance was nothing short of a miracle. In a world of controversies and impossible expectations, Jafar did the one thing no one thought possible. He brought the King of Pop back to life. This wasn't just a performance, it was an act of love. He carried the hopes of a family, the expectations of millions, and the ghost of the greatest entertainer who ever lived. And when you watch Michael, you might forget you're watching Jafar at all. And that's what makes this story so incredible. A nephew didn't just play his uncle. For a moment, he became him. If this story amazed you, subscribe for more untold stories behind Michael Jackson's legacy.